Title/Intro. This video covers the full story of Mushoku Tensei Volume 14, the journey to Perugius' floating fortress, Nanahoshi's deadly illness, the Demon Continent cure mission, Eris' sword growth, and the shocking setup for Turning Point 4. At the start of this volume, Rudius is living a peaceful family life in Sharia. But that peaceful routine is interrupted when Nanahoshi's research and Perugius' name pull everyone toward much older powers in the world. The main mood of the volume is mystery. Instead of a normal adventure, Rudius is stepping into ancient history, advanced summoning magic, and secrets connected to Laplace and the dragon god side of the story. The volume also has a strong emotional center through Nanahoshi. She looks calm and logical most of the time, but her desire to return home and her fragile condition make her one of the most important characters in this arc. By the end of the introduction, the audience should understand the stakes. Volume 14 starts like an arc about research and healing, but it ends by opening one of the darkest and most important turning points in the entire story. Event 1. Nanahoshi's research opens the door. Nanahoshi continues her research into summoning and teleportation. Her goal is simple but emotionally heavy. She wants to return to the world she came from, even if that means spending years solving impossible magic problems. Rudius supports her because he understands the loneliness of being connected to another world. But unlike Rudius, Nanahoshi did not reincarnate into this world. She was transported here, which makes her body and situation very different. Her work begins to produce results, and those results point towards something far beyond normal academy research. The experiment suggests that a person like Perugius may be necessary to understand the next step. This is why the story begins moving toward the legendary floating fortress. Nanahoshi needs knowledge, Rudius needs answers, and the group needs access to ancient magic that ordinary scholars cannot provide. This event matters because it turns Nanahoshi's private research into the main engine of the volume. The search for a way home becomes the reason Rudius enters the world of Perugius and ancient magical history. Event 2. The group prepares to meet Perugius. A large group begins preparing for the visit to Perugius. Rudius, Nanahoshi, Ariel, Sylphie, Luke, Roxy, Elinalise, Cliff, and Zenoba all have different reasons to go, which makes the trip feel important from many angles. For Ariel, meeting Perugius is political. Support from a legendary figure could strengthen her future claim to the Asura throne. For Nanahoshi, the visit is personal and scientific. For Rudius, it is both curiosity and responsibility. The size of the group also shows how interconnected Rudius's life has become. He is no longer a lone traveler. His family, friends, political allies, and research connections now all overlap. Before the journey even begins, the story makes Perugius feel like someone who exists above normal society. People do not casually visit him. They need permission, purpose, and the courage to stand before someone legendary. This preparation section builds anticipation. The audience is meant to feel that the group is not simply going to another city. They are going to meet an ancient power who may judge them, help them, or reject them completely. Event 3. Arrival at Chaos Breaker. The group reaches Chaos Breaker, Perugius' floating fortress. The location immediately changes the scale of the story, because this is not just a castle. It is a symbol of ancient power floating above the normal world. Everything about Chaos Breaker feels different. The architecture, the servants, the magical systems, and the calm authority of the place. It gives the sense that Rudius has stepped into a preserved piece of history. For Nanahoshi, Chaos Breaker represents hope. For Ariel, it represents political opportunity. For Rudius, it represents a chance to understand things that have always existed beyond his reach. The visuals of the fortress should feel grand and mysterious. The audience should sense that the story has moved away from school life and into a legendary domain connected to old wars and hidden knowledge. This event matters because Chaos Breaker becomes the central stage of the volume. Most of the major discoveries, emotional breakdowns, and future story triggers begin from this visit. Event 4. Audience with Perugius. Rudius and the group finally meet Perugius Dola. The meeting is formal, intimidating, and full of tension, because Perugius is not the type of person who treats visitors casually. Perugius carries himself like someone who has seen the world change many times. He is tied to the legends of Laplace and the old heroes, so his presence makes the current generation feel small by comparison. Ariel's behavior during the audience is important. She must present herself with dignity, because she is not only there as a student or guest, she is someone trying to become a ruler. Rudius also has to be careful. He has strange connections, unusual power, and knowledge that could easily make ancient figures suspicious. The audience is polite, but there is pressure beneath every exchange. This event establishes Perugius as a key figure. He is not simply a helper. He is a gatekeeper to knowledge, history, and political legitimacy. Event 5. Perugius tests and questions the visitors. Perugius does not immediately trust or fully accept everyone. He observes the group, questions their motives, and measures their value through his own ancient standards. Rudius hopes that Perugius may know something about Zenith's condition, but the answer is not simple. Even someone as powerful as Perugius cannot immediately fix every wound left by the teleportation disaster. The conversation reminds us that Mushoku Tensei's world has limits. Ancient knowledge helps, but it does not erase tragedy. Some problems remain painful even when powerful people are involved. Nanahoshi's situation also becomes part of the questioning. Her existence is strange, and her body does not follow the same rules as people born in this world. This event matters because it shows that Perugius is both useful and limited. He opens doors, but he does not magically solve every problem for Rudius and his friends. Event 6. Ancient History and Hidden Secrets. Inside Chaos Breaker, the group begins learning pieces of old history. The fortress is connected to battles, heroes, Laplace, and mysteries that reach far beyond Rudius's current life. Rudius begins to understand that the present world is shaped by events from long before his birth. The names Perugius and Laplace are not just legends, they are active forces influencing the future. The group also sees how different ancient people are from ordinary modern nobles or adventurers. Their values, memories, and grudges have lasted across generations. For viewers, this section should feel like opening a locked history book. The world becomes bigger, and Rudius's story starts connecting to forces that will matter much later. This event matters because Volume 14 is not only about Nanahoshi's illness. It is also about world building, old wars, and the hidden structure behind the series' biggest conflicts. Event 7. Summoning Lessons. Begin. Rudius, Nanahoshi, Cliff, and Zanoba begin learning summoning magic under Perugius's side. These lessons are important because summoning is tied directly to Nanahoshi's dream of returning home. The lessons show that summoning is not just one spell. It is a complex field with rules, categories, and risks. This makes Nanahoshi's research feel more realistic and more difficult. Rudius approaches the topic with curiosity, but Nanahoshi approaches it with desperation. For her, each lesson is one step closer to home, but also one more reminder of how far away home still is. Zanoba and Cliff add texture to the learning scenes. Their different personalities keep the arc from feeling purely academic, while still showing that serious knowledge is being gained. This event matters because it gives the audience a technical foundation for the arc. The magic lessons explain why Nanahoshi's problem cannot be solved through simple effort alone. Event 8. The Hidden Murals. Beneath the fortress, the group explores deeper parts of Chaos Breaker and discovers hidden murals. These images connect the fortress to ancient history and create a stronger sense of mystery around Laplace and the old world. Murals are powerful storytelling tools because they show history visually. They make the past feel alive without needing a long lecture, and they suggest that many truths are still buried beneath the surface. Rudius and the others begin piecing together clues. The fortress is not only a home for Perugius, it is also a storage place for memory, ideology, and old conflict. Nanahoshi's research and the world's ancient history begin to overlap. Her personal problem is now surrounded by forces that are much larger than one person's wish to go home. This event matters because it deepens the atmosphere of the volume. The story feels like a mystery arc where every discovery points toward a larger, older, and more dangerous truth. Event 9. Nanahoshi collapses. Nanahoshi suddenly collapses, and the tone of the volume changes immediately. Until now, the arc has been about research, history, and possibility. Now it becomes a medical and emotional emergency. Her collapse is frightening because she is normally composed and logical. Seeing her body fail reminds everyone that she is not simply a researcher. She is a vulnerable person trapped in a world that rejects her body. Rudius and the others react with panic and urgency. The emotional weight is strong because Nanahoshi's wish to go home is already sad, and now even survival becomes uncertain. Sylphie's feelings also matter here. Her earlier jealousy and worry turn into guilt and concern when she sees Nanahoshi in real danger. This event matters because it transforms Nanahoshi from a background researcher into the emotional heart of the volume. The audience now has to care not only about her goal, but about whether she will live. Event 10. Drying Syndrome and a Desperate Promise. The group learns that Nanahoshi is suffering from Drying Syndrome, also known as Drain Syndrome. The condition is connected to the fact that she has no mana and is not native to this world in the same way Rudius is. This diagnosis explains why Nanahoshi's situation is so dangerous. Her body is not adapting like a normal person's body would, and the world itself is slowly harming her. Rudius promises to help her. This promise is important because it is not romantic or political. It is a human response to someone who is trapped, scared, and running out of time. Perugius and the others identify a possible path to treatment, but it requires more effort and risk. The problem cannot be solved inside the fortress alone. This event matters because it sets the next mission in motion. Saving Nanahoshi becomes the urgent goal that sends Rudius back toward the Demon Continent. Event 11. Return to the Demon Continent. Rudius returns to the Demon Continent, a place filled with memories from his journey with Eris and Ruigerd. This time, however, he is not trying to survive as a lost child. He is trying to save a friend. The Demon Continent carries a different emotional meaning now. It reminds Rudius of his past journey, but it also shows how much he has grown since those early survival days. The mission gives the arc a strong adventure feeling again. After the quiet mystery of Chaos Breaker, the story returns to travel, strange towns, dangerous rulers, and unpredictable demons. Rudius must follow clues and rely on old knowledge of the Demon Continent. The audience should feel that the world is wide and that old places can return with new meaning. This event matters because it reconnects Volume 14 with the earlier adventure arcs, while keeping the focus on Nanahoshi's life or death problem. Event 12. Search for Kishirika. Rudius begins searching for Kishirika Kishirisu, the eccentric demon emperor whose magical eyes and knowledge may help locate the cure or the path forward. Finding Kishirika is difficult because she is unpredictable, childish, and hard to control. She is powerful in strange ways, but she does not behave like a normal authority figure. The search through Demon Continent cities adds movement and humor to the volume. Strange races, rumors, and chaotic encounters make this part feel like classic Mushoku Tensei travel storytelling. Rudius has to be patient because Kishirika's usefulness comes with absurd behavior. The story balances urgency with comedy, reminding the audience that this world is dangerous but also bizarre. This event matters because Kishirika becomes the key link between Nanahoshi's condition and the next confrontation. Without her knowledge, Rudius cannot move the cure mission forward. Event 13. Kishirika reveals the next clue. Kishirika eventually provides the clue Rudius needs. Her powers and knowledge point him toward the next major obstacle, Atofe, also known as Atofe, an immortal demon king. This is a classic Mushoku Tensei shift. The answer does not make the problem easier. Instead, it sends Rudius towards someone even more dangerous and unpredictable. Kishirika's role is valuable because she connects many different parts of the demon world. She may seem silly, but her knowledge reaches into places normal people cannot access. Rudius now understands that saving Nanahoshi will require dealing with a ruler who cannot be handled through normal politeness or logic. This event matters because it turns the search into a confrontation. The cure mission is no longer just about finding information. It is about surviving the person who controls access to it. Event 14. Audience with Atofe. Rudius goes to meet Atofe, one of the most frightening immortal rulers in the Demon Continent. Her presence changes the tone from investigation to danger. Atofe is aggressive, proud, and violent in a way that makes ordinary negotiation almost impossible. She is not someone Rudius can simply persuade with a careful explanation. The meeting is tense because Rudius is trying to save Nanahoshi, but Atofe treats serious requests through her own brutal logic. To her, strength and entertainment matter more than polite reasoning. This creates a difficult situation for Rudius. He must remain focused on the cure while avoiding being dragged into a fight he may not be able to win cleanly. This event matters because Atofe represents a different type of obstacle from Perugius. Perugius tests through dignity and judgment. Atofe tests through force and chaos. Event 15. Rudius fights to survive. Atofe's test. The situation escalates into a battle or trial against Atofe. Rudius has to use his magic, experience, and survival instincts against an opponent whose immortality makes her terrifying. This fight is not only about winning, it is about lasting long enough and proving enough value to get what he needs for Nanahoshi. Rudius's growth is visible here. He is no longer the inexperienced boy from his first Demon Continent journey. He can think under pressure and fight with a mature sense of purpose. Even so, Atofe's raw power keeps the scene dangerous. The audience should feel that Rudius is dealing with someone outside normal human limits. This event matters because it gives the volume its major action climax. Nanahoshi's quiet illness creates the need for a loud, dangerous, and chaotic confrontation. Event 16. The cure is secured. After surviving Atofe's test and dealing with the Demon Continent's chaos, Rudius finally secures the help or information needed to treat Nanahoshi. This success feels earned because it required travel, negotiation, humiliation, danger, and combat. The story makes sure the cure is not obtained too easily. Rudius's motivation remains clear throughout. He is doing this because Nanahoshi's life matters. The rescue is not grand politics. It is personal loyalty. The return from the demon continent brings relief, but it also reminds us that Rudius's life is full of obligations. Even saving one person requires crossing nations and facing immortals. This event matters because it resolves the immediate rescue mission and prepares the story to return to Chaos Breaker, where Nanahoshi's condition can finally be stabilized. Event 17. Nanahoshi is saved for now. Back at Chaos Breaker, Nanahoshi receives the treatment she needs. She does not suddenly become completely free from her problem, but she is saved from the immediate danger. The phrase "for now" is important. Nanahoshi's condition and homesickness are not erased. The cure gives her time, not a perfect ending. The emotional payoff is quiet but meaningful. Rudius has kept his promise, and Nanahoshi survives because the people around her refuse to abandon her. This section also reinforces how different Nanahoshi is from Rudius. He belongs to this world now in a way she does not, and that difference continues to shape her sadness. This event matters because it gives Volume 14 its emotional resolution before the story turns toward the much darker material of the ending. Extra. Eris becomes a new Sword King far away from Rudius. Eris continues her brutal training at the Holy Land of Swords. Her path is separate from Rudius's family life, but it remains deeply connected to the future of the story. Eris trains with fierce determination because she wants the strength to stand beside Rudius. She does not want to be protected helplessly. She wants to return as someone who can protect him too. Her growth into a Sword King is a major milestone. It proves that her years of hardship and discipline have changed her from a talented girl into an elite warrior. This extra chapter creates contrast with the main story. While Rudius is dealing with illness, ancient magic, and hidden manipulation, Eris is forging herself into a weapon through pure effort. This event matters because Eris's training is not filler. Her strength will become extremely important in the next phase of the story, especially after Turning Point 4 changes everything. Conclusion. Turning Point 4 changes everything before Rudius can follow the human god's instruction. An old man appears and reveals something impossible. He is Rudius from the future, broken by a timeline where everything went terribly wrong. This future Rudius warns him about the basement, the rat, and the chain of events that could destroy his family. The warning immediately changes how Rudius sees the human god. The future diary becomes a terrifying object because it shows how happiness can collapse through one manipulated decision. It is not just information. It is a record of grief, regret, and ruin. This ending turns Volume 14 from a story about saving Nanahoshi into the start of a war against fate and manipulation. The threat is no longer abstract. It is aimed directly at Rudius's family. By the end of Volume 14, everything has changed. Perugius, Nanahoshi, Atofe, and Eris all matter, but the final message is clear. The human god is not a guide Rudius can trust anymore.